Now they were out of time, and Ward's mind raced for options. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw the blinking cursor on the screen and realized that the words on the computer might be seen from in front of his desk. Without glancing back at the monitor, he pressed the F4 key as he turned the chair to face his visitors. The message disappeared from the screen. "I'm sorry, Mr. Lobeck," Ward said, rising from his seat. "I didn't hear the doorbell." The waver in his voice betrayed his attempt to remain calm. He took another puff from the cigarette. Lobeck smiled and strode in without waiting for the invitation he had asked for. "Disgusting habit," he said, plucking the cigarette from Ward's lips. He stubbed it out in a heavily stained brass ashtray. "Much better. Now we can all breathe while we talk." He sat in one of the leather chairs. Byrne remained standing behind him. "Please sit down," Lobeck said. "You're early," said Ward, lowering himself into his chair. "I wasn't expecting you until 6:30. The clock on the study's mantel said 4:23. "Of course you weren't. You expected to be far away by the time we arrived. I'm happy to surprise you." He wasn't tall, no more than 5'10", but Lobeck carried a quiet confidence that made him more imposing than a man 6 inches taller. His thick ebony hair, a marked contrast to his fair complexion and slate-gray eyes, was combed straight back. His gray suit was tailored, perfectly fitting his athletic frame. Lobeck was not a handsome man, his nose angled downward and crooked. His chin was weak, but his eyes were always alert and focused. Despite being intimidated by Lobeck, Ward couldn't help but admire the man's presence. Lobeck's younger associate was the same height as Lobeck, but about 50 pounds heavier, most of it muscle. Byrne lacked Lobeck's sense of style, wearing an ill-fitting blue suit that looked a size too large. His brown hair was cut in a Marine-style crew, and boredom radiated from his perpetual frown and sleepy eyes. Beyond the visual, Ward knew hardly anything about the man. He'd never uttered more than a few unintelligible greetings. Ward forced a smile, knowing he'd never be able to overpower either one of them, let alone both. Despite his 4-inch height advantage over the two men, his large paunch and fleshy jowls clearly marked him as a professor whose sole exercise was swinging a golf club. Since the fall semester didn't begin until next week, he was dressed in the $300 sweatsuit he normally wore on weekends. Otherwise, Ward was the archetype of a distinguished professor, down to the thin graying hair and wire-rimmed glasses. Judging by Lobeck's attitude, he didn't appear to pose much of a threat. "I don't know what you mean," Ward said. "I was just finishing up some—" "You do know what I mean." Lobeck seemed more amused than annoyed. "We've been searching for you for the last hour. You didn't take your normal route from the office today. Maybe you can tell us why." He had suspected they were watching him, and now Lobeck's statement confirmed it. After hearing the news about Herbert Stein's murder, Ward had taken the precaution of leaving through the sub-basement to another building, hoping to elude his observers for just the 10 minutes he needed to hide his insurance. Apparently, he had been successful. "How do you know what route I take?" Ward was stalling, trying to think. "The same way we know how you've been able to afford a $500,000 home and a Mercedes on a professor's salary." Lobeck scanned the tastefully decorated study, with its mahogany desk, black leather sofa, golf awards, and memorabilia, then looked out the window at the gated community's 18-hole championship golf course in the final stages of construction, before his eyes returned to Ward. "Although lately your situation has taken a turn for the worse, hasn't it? Mr. Tarnwell mentioned your reputation for successful ventures in the stock market. It's a pity your appraisal of chromosotics wasn't as shrewd."